The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. How they found the magic wood. There were once 3 children called Joe, Bessie and Fanny. All their lives they'd lived in a town, but now their father had a job in the country, so they all moved to live in a little cottage at the end of the winding lane.
"Let's go out and see what the country round about is like,"
said Joe. So, after asking their mother if it would be all right, the children went out of the garden to explore around. And then they came to the wood. It was not far from their cottage at the back. Bessie cried out in delight.
"A wood! That's wonderful! We shall be able to have picnics here."
"It's a rather mysterious sort of wood,"
said Joe thoughtfully.
"It's a magic wood,"
said Fanny suddenly. Nobody said anything. They stood and listened. "Wish, wish, wish, wish," said the trees in the wood. And then they heard their mother's voice calling them for tea, and they ran back to their new home. After tea, Father came in. He'd been shopping in the village.
"I've been exploring everywhere, Father,"
said Bessie, pouring him a big cup of tea.
"We found a lovely wood,"
Fanny told him.
"It's a funny sort of wood, Father. The trees really seem to be talking to one another,"
said Joe. Their father sounded interested.
That must be the wood I heard about this afternoon, children. It has a strange name.
"What's it called?"
It's called the Enchanted Wood. People don't go there if they can help it. I don't expect there is really anything very unusual about it, but just be careful not to go too far into it, in case you get lost."
The children looked in excitement at one another. The Enchanted Wood. What a lovely name. And each child thought the same thought.
"I shall go and explore the Enchanted Wood as soon as ever I can."
Their father set them to work in the overgrown garden after tea. While they were weeding the untidy vegetable bed, they spoke to one another very excitedly.
"The Enchanted Wood. We knew there was something strange about it."
"I guess there were fairy folk there,"
said Fanny.
"We'll do some exploring as soon as we can,"
cried Bessie.
"We'll find out what the whispering trees are saying and know all the secrets of the wood."
And that night, at bedtime, all 3 stood at the window, looking out in the dark, wondering just what they could find in the Enchanted Wood. First visit to the wood. The children had no chance to visit the wood until the next week because they had to help their father and mother all they could to get the house and garden clean and tidy. And then, at last, their chance came. They set off, unlatched the garden gate and stood in the lane. They could see the trees in the wood and hear them talking their strange tree talk. Wish-a, 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 wish-a. Joe said,
"I feel as if there are adventures about. Come on, over the ditch we go and into the Enchanted Wood."
They jumped over the ditch and stood beneath the trees. It was dim and green there, and a bird nearby sang a funny little song over and over again.
"It really is magic,"
said Fanny suddenly.
"I can feel the magic about somewhere. Can't you, Bessie? Can't you, Joe?"
"Yes,"
said the others, and their eyes shone with excitement.
"What's happening over there?"
asked Fanny in a low voice. All 3 watched in silence, and then they saw what it was. 6 big toadstools were growing up quickly from the ground, pushing their way through and rising up steadily.
"I've never seen that happen before."
"Shh! Don't make a noise. I can hear footsteps."
They scrambled up and hid just in time, for even as they settled down and peeked through the bushes, there came a troop of small men with long beards almost reaching to the ground.
"Brownies!"
whispered Joe. The Brownies went to the toadstools and sat on them. They were holding a meeting. One of them had a bag which he put down behind his toadstool. The children heard a chattering of voices. Suddenly, they saw something else. An ugly gnome-like fellow was creeping up behind the meeting on the toadstools. None of the Brownies saw or heard him.
He's after that bag,
whispered Joe, and so he was. He reached out a long arm. His bony fingers closed upon the bag. He began to draw it away under a bush. Joe jumped up. He shouted loudly,
Stop, thief! Hi! Look at that gnome behind you!
The gnome jumped up and sped off with the bag. The Brownies stared after him in dismay. The robber ran towards the children's bush, and as quick as lightning, Joe put out his foot and tripped him up. Down he went, crash! The bag flew from his hand, and Bessie picked it up and threw it to the astonished Brownies. Joe tried to grab the gnome, but he was off like a bird. The children tore after him through the trees, dodging here and there. At last they saw the gnome leap up to the low branches of a great tree and pull himself into the leaves. Joe called,
We've got him now. He can't get down without being caught.
but the Brownies looked half frightened at the tree, and the biggest one said,
He will not come down until he wants to. That is the oldest and most magical tree in the world. It's the Faraway tree.
The Faraway tree?
said Bessie in wonder.
What a funny name. Why do you call it that?
It's a very strange tree. Its top reaches far away places in a way we don't understand.
If only we could climb up.
said Joe longingly.
Oh, you must never do that.
said the Brownies at once.
It's dangerous, very, very dangerous. But we thank you for your help. If ever you want us to help you, come into the Enchanted Wood and whistle 7 times under the oak tree.
Thank you.
said the children, and stared at the 6 small Brownies as they ran off between the trees. Then they picked up their basket and went home, all of them thinking the same thought.
We must go up the Faraway tree and see what is at the top.